Hi, welcome to Bonita's Kitchen and thank you for joining us. Today I'm going to be making a delicious batch of glazed donuts. Now these glazed donuts today is a viewer's request, so I thank you for that. But I have been putting together a delicious recipe that it's, I guess, family friendly for people to get back into the kitchen and have family time with their kids or their grandkids. And this is a delicious recipe to do that, making these glazed donuts, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get started. So what I'm going to be doing first is putting 1 teaspoonful of sugar into a cup of warm milk and 2 teaspoonfuls of yeast. I'm just going to stir that around. We're going to set that to the side for 5 minutes and let it start to rise. That's all you need to do there. We got 6 tablespoonfuls of melted butter, 2 large eggs, and 1 teaspoonful of vanilla. So we're going to crack the eggs into a bowl like this, and we'll do both. Toss it in, and I'm just going to whisk that around. After you've done that, toss in your teaspoonful of vanilla into the eggs and all of the butter. Just pop it on in there like that and whisk it around. And this is all, it's going to be a little warm there. I'm mixing it because I don't want my eggs to cook. Now what we're going to do is get ready for our dry ingredients. Put this to the side. So what we got here is 4 cups of white flour. We got half a teaspoonful of sea salt and 1/4 cup of white sugar. So we're going to toss all of this into the bowl, leaving about a half a cup of flour just to work it all together after. And remember, you guys, before you start making this, of course, as we all know, to have safe hand washing and anything in between, we're going to be putting 1/4 of a cup of white sugar and of course that half a teaspoonful of sea salt. So anytime, of course, you're dealing with cooking or anything at all, just practice that safe hand washing. All right, so after we've done that, I'm going to reach for my yeast and the wet ingredients and we'll work those in. So after you've put your dry ingredients in there and you've mixed everything together so all of them, the sugar and the salt is together, you make a hole in the middle and then you'll pour in your yeast and milk. Now this is a delicious recipe. I can't stress enough how beautiful it is. If you don't want to use 1/4 cup of sugar, you could use a little less, but remember, this is donuts, not bread, but it's the same fun. You're mixing dough the same as you would bread. If you want to use a different type of sugar, you can, and that's fine as well. You use what is your favorite. When the wet ingredients is in the middle, you're going to gradually bring it all in the same way you would your bread, or your bread dough, I should say. Just bring it all in until it's all incorporated. If you got a KitchenAid and you want to mix this up, that's fine. Only up until everything is blended together and you got it complete, and then you could knead it yourself and form it into a ball. So of course you got to work all this dough mixture together, stirring it for a couple of minutes to make sure everything is taken in from the sides and everything is incorporated together. The flour we got off to the side there is going to help keep it from being sticky, but I just want to make sure everything is blended in first before I use it. So if you're making this recipe today with your kids or your grandkids, if you wanted to do this part yourself, that's fine, but if your kids like to mix and to help work with the dough, that's fine as well. Just again making sure we're all playing our part in safe hand washing. So on top of that, you're going to see here, after you've worked in the dough and all the dough is formed into almost a ball with your KitchenAid or a wooden spoon, then we're going to start blending in this flour. So that's what we'll do next, and I'll show you that. So this is what it looks like when you got everything worked in together. And then we're going to start dusting with a little bit of flour. So basically what I want to do here now, I want to knead it in with my fist and flip it around to make a dough, one ball of dough. And after we've completed that, then what we're going to do is let it rise for a half an hour, of course, before we do anything with it. And that we need to make sure it's covered, the same as you would if you're making bread, and in a warm place. So we'll talk about that now. So I've got that done, and I got my dough formed into that little dough ball. I always put the sign of cross on it. I love blessing my bread or any dough I'm using. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover mine with just a microwave lid. What I'm going to do, and this was a viewer's tip, I'm going to put my dough in the oven with just the light, nothing else. Do not turn it on because we're not baking this dough and we don't want to ruin everything there. So again, put the light on, put your bowl in there, and then put the timer on for 30 minutes. When the timer goes off, we'll take out this dough, and then I'm going to show you the next step. So again, light on, dough and the bowl in the oven, close it, just put the timer on for 30 minutes and leave it and go about cleaning up, getting ready for the next step. So meet me back here when that's ready. Okay, now that our dough is ready to take out of the warm area, of course, again, I didn't have the heat on, I only had the light. So what I'm going to do now is turn that light off. Take my lid off, and now what I'm going to do is put the dough out onto my board. So we're just going to have a little bit of flour over our board. You're going to need yourself a donut cutter, and if you don't, you can get creative, I guess, and just cut out donuts by with your knife. Take the dough that now is nice and it's got a nice texture to it after rising for a half an hour. We're going to roll it out. Might have to cut it in half. We're going to roll it out to about an inch, and then we'll cut out pieces of the donut. And it's got nice cracking sounds as well. So pretty much that's all I'm doing here now is rolling this out, and then I'll start cutting. Looks beautiful. So then when you got it to about an inch or so, you can have it less, you can have a little bit more, but this recipe today, this amount of dough makes 12 donuts. So then you can pop that piece out there in the middle. I guess I could have had a little bit better than that, but it'll form nice as we go. And I just need to press a little bit harder on my cutter. So pretty much that's all we're doing, making sure that the dough is cut. There you go, popped out on that one. And then pull the dough away. And when I'm putting it over there now onto a piece of parchment paper, just to rise for 20 minutes on that side. And then we're going to be deep frying them into some oil. And I'll tell you more about that when I pull out my deep fryer. And this is what your kids and your grandkids are going to like doing, is cutting these out and shaping them into your donut pieces. So now I'll just continue with that. So as you cut them, you're going to have or what we would call that middle piece is your donut hole. You could use that and make less donuts, but I'm just putting that back into forming the dough again, flattening it, and then making a donut. And pretty much what you would do there is take all the pieces, put it together, work it like this, flatten it, roll it with your roller, and then cut it. And like I said again, this mixture today makes 12 donuts, but if you want them bigger or you want them smaller, it'll be more or less. So that's entirely up to you. So pretty much taking them. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then I'm going to tell you what's next. So after you started cutting the first donut out, put your timer on for 20 minutes, because starting from your first cut, your donuts needs only 20 minutes to rise. By the time you get to the last one, you'll be almost ready then to start frying these donuts, going from the first side, of course. So pretty much that's all I'm doing. Again, if you're making this with your grandkids or your kids, this is a team effort, and of course so nice. The dough is nice to work with. They would love it. And if you're making it just you and your husband, you both would love it as well, because we had fun there earlier today making a batch, so as they'll be already made, and we got some fancy toppings on them too. But this is just really a glazed donut. Glazed donut meaning that I'm going to show you how to make a icing sugar glaze that you would dip these donuts into after they come out of the fryer. And what I'm using today is a proof fryer. I don't deep fry on my stovetop, but if you feel comfortable with that, that's fine. And that heat is going to be about 370 to 375 degrees. And we're pretty much finished there now, and then I'm going to show you what that would look like. So of course what I'm using today is my deep fryer. I use it for everything, of course, my deep fried fish, chicken, you name it, fries. But today we're making our donuts, of course our glazed donuts. While this is hotting up to the temperature I need, and which I said anywhere from 370, 375, it's perfect for this. We only need to fry our donuts for anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes, or even a little less than 3 minutes, but I'll go like 1 minute plus on one side, flip it and do the same on the other. So what we're going to do now is make our glaze. We're going to be using 2 cups of confectionary sugar, which is icing sugar. We're going to be using 1/4 cup of milk and 1/2 teaspoonful of vanilla. And just stir that all together like this. So that mixture of glaze that we're making here today is enough for the full amount, 12 donuts. But today I've got a baker's dozen. I got 13 donuts. I even was able to snag a couple of those, well, my husband calls them bite-sized donuts, which is the donut holes. So that's all we need to do there. I want this made in advance because when the donuts comes out of the deep fryer, I'm going to let them drain a little bit to get the grease off. Then I'm going to put them over onto my grate. Then we'll glaze them. All right, so let's get going on that. Okay, so when you're ready to deep fry, you got your deep fryer ready. I'm not going to lift the lid yet. Then you got all your ensemble. You got your donuts that's rising. I've still got a couple of minutes there on all the rest, but these here are ready to go. I got some chocolate melted. We got our glaze. I got some I guess icing sugar, some candies. You can deck these off whichever way you want. As you can see, my deep fryer is ready. We're going to take our first one. Now if you got a bigger deep fryer or a bigger pot, you can put 2 in at a time, but I'm just going to do 1 right now. I'm just going to pop it down into the fat, give it a little jingle, or a jiggle, I'm going to put on my timer for the two minutes first, and let that start to deep fry, partly on one side, and then I'll do the minute for the other side. So after it's about a minute and a half done on that side, just flip it over. You see it's starting to get a nice golden brown. Then I'm going to put the lid down. But if you're using an open pot and there's no lid, don't worry about it. Just let it start frying like that. It's got to cook the dough all the way through. I'm using a vegetable oil. You can also use a canola oil. And that is your best oil to use. After your donut is deep fried, you're going to lift up your lid, and we're going to take this donut out. As you can see, look how nice and golden brown it is. I'm going to put it on a piece of paper towel just for a couple of minutes, no, couple of seconds, I'm going to say. I'm going to put another one into my deep fryer and put it on. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that one. So after your donut, just rest for a little bit just to get some of that oil off. Just look at it, isn't that nice? You're going to dip it into the glaze. Now you can do both sides with the glaze, or you can just do one side. You could then put it onto a rack, just to get any of that juice from the glaze to come off. You could dip it while it's not set in a little bit of coconut, and have one with coconut, and then the next one, when it comes out, we're going to have one with chocolate. Now that's how delicious and easy it is to make these donuts. So as you can see, the donut is ready to be turned. This up is floated to the top. We'll flip them over. Just look at that nice golden brown. Now we're just going to be doing about a minute to a minute and a half on that side. I'm going to put down my lid. If you don't have a lid, don't worry about it. And then we'll get ready to dress that one up. Okay, so my buzzer just went off. We're ready to do this one. Now, if you're making these today with your kids or your grandkids, I don't expect for them to be using the deep fryer. You can do that, and they can do this fun part, dipping it into the glaze, putting over whatever toppings they like. And today I got candies and of course the coconut, but the glaze it's just an added feature, or you can just leave it like this. It'll be just as good. So what I'm going to do now, I'm only going to glaze one side of this like that. I'm going to put it over here for a second. Then I'm going to flip it and put some chocolate on it and some candies. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this one over because I got the glaze on that side. Now I want to take my chocolate, and all this is here is you could use chocolate chips or you could use a chocolate bar. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to put some over the top. Now of course you can dunk it into it, but I'm just not getting there on that today. I'm just going to show you the way I'm doing it. I'm just going to spread some over. I'm saying nothing fancy, but really this is fancy. That's my buzzer going off for the other one. And that's all is to it. Just look, now your grandkids or your kids are gonna love that. So now we got a real system going here today. I wanted for Raymond to get in here and help me, but of course, he's not hearing of it.
No, I'm just gonna help
Eat them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna help eat them, you know. Well, if I had my grandkids here today, which I would love, they would be loving this. I should say our grandkids. I always take full control of those. So what we got here now, we got our donuts that we made earlier today. Of course, Raymond made this fancy one here. And like you said, you can do it with sprinkles like this. Put a little few sprinkles over it, candies. Leave them plain. Put them with a bit of coconut or your favorite candies. It doesn't matter. It's your donuts. I'm going to open one up there now. It's my buzzer going again. I'm going to open one up there now to show you what it looks like on the inside. And that's it. I'm going to let you get to your making your donuts then.
I could even use that for a birthday cake, a birthday donut.
You can. You can put your candle on it, of course.
That's true.
And I'm sure he would love that. I think this one here is Raymond's. He loves sprinkles, and I'm sure you've heard me say it on other videos how much he likes sprinkles. Now I'm going to open this one and show you what it looks like on the inside. Just look. Isn't that ever delicious? It's baked all the way through, and I mean deep fried all the way through, and the texture of this is absolutely delicious. I'm going to pass this one to Raymond. There you go, Raymond. You can have that one.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
It's nice working on this side of the camera, you know.
You're working hard.
Yeah.
I know that Raymond had his taste, but I do want to have my taste as well. I'm using my pinky to turn off the timer. I got to flip that there. Oh my goodie.
So delicious.
When you make these yourself, you are not going. I'm trying to not chew and talk. You are not going and buying any donuts anymore to any store. You're going to make your own. You're going to display them, you and your family, and dress them up the way you want it. It's got this beautiful texture on the inside. You could just taste a tinge of that vanilla. It's not too sweet at all. Of course, the glaze over it brings out this beautiful flavor. And I love it. I love the coconut. Coconut is my favorite, even though I'm eyeing that chocolate one over there with a nice glass of milk, probably later. So I hope you enjoyed this episode today of glazed donuts, homemade glazed donuts. Wow, how good is that? We're going to be working here for a bit because we want to get those donuts all put in that fryer so we can start delivering them. We're going to be a delivery service today. If you enjoyed this recipe and you want to see more of our delicious homemade recipes, viewers' requests, traditional, non-traditional Newfoundland and Labrador recipes, just hit the link down there. The subscribe button will provide the recipe as well in under this video for all of our recipes to every video. As well, visit us on our webpage, www.bonitaskitchen.com, our Facebook, or right here on YouTube. So as I finish off our beautiful video today by saying thank you to each and every one of you for all of your video requests, of course. This recipe today is a little recipe we put together so you know how to make these delicious homemade donuts. And of course, simple and quite tasty. Thank you again to our viewer that requested to know how to make these donuts today. So, from our kitchen to yours, thank you for joining us, and you have a wonderful day. If you're visiting Newfoundland and Labrador, don't forget to include the beautiful town of Portagrave in your travels, and visit us again on Bonita's Kitchen.
Join us by the sea, a journey in culinary, always an open door. Bonita's Kitchen to yours. Bonita's Kitchen to yours.